In November of last year, Lime Crime announced that they're no longer going to be selling makeup. They're basically shutting down, except they're still selling some of their hair products. I don't know. When they made the announcement, I bought some products and I thought we could play with them today and talk about it. I had to get out of the wide shot before you guys realize I don't have curtains anymore. This is probably going to be my last video in this spot, which is kind of funny. Okay, the thing I'm most excited about is the Venus 3 palette. Lime Crime had several Venus palettes. I had the first and second one. I purchased them so long ago, and they've since both been decluttered. When they announced Venus 3, which was probably in 2017 or 2018, I really wanted it at the time, and I talked myself out of getting it. But at the time, I wanted it enough that I did a look using my shadows to create a look that I thought I'd be able to create with the Venus 3 palette. I don't have the time to scroll that far back on my Instagram right now, but I'll pop that picture up when I find it. And I'm excited to see if I like whatever look I'm gonna get with like the real thing today. I love this packaging though. I love like the pinky purple. I love like the Birth of Venus lady. Okay, I'm gonna start with Dreamy in my crease. So usually as a rule, when brands, that looks like it's deeper than I thought it would be. Usually when brands close down, I don't buy anything. I've learned my lesson a long time ago that when I buy, ooh, I dipped into this orangey one and that's really deep also. I learned my lesson a long time ago that when I buy things knowing that they're not going to be available for much longer, they feel old in my collection way sooner. So I know like when people talk about like resisting the urge to buy makeup, a lot of people find themselves wanting to buy things because it's limited edition. And I'm like the opposite. I don't want to buy something if it's limited edition because I know that in a couple months it's going to feel like, oh, that's so last holiday season or something. My camera just cut me off, but I think I was saying that along the same lines, buying makeup that's soon to no longer be sold is definitely going to feel old. And I know there's different types of consumers, like some people that doesn't bother them, but for me that's been like a helpful tool to not give into the scarcity mindset, to not buy things for fear of not being able to change my mind. It's just been kind of like a nice reason to not want to buy more stuff. I'm so surprised by the intensity of these shades, but I really like this orangey one. I wouldn't have guessed that would be like a favorite. I mean, I did hop right into it, I guess, but I really like it. I'm gonna try this light shimmery up here. Like it looks like a satin kind of. Maybe it's considered a shimmer. I don't know. I thought this I could try to blend with. It's kind of covering up more than I thought it would. But it is blending. Okay. So I guess the thing that's different that made me want to purchase something from Lime Crime, and actually a bunch of things. I bought a whole bunch of things and it was $60, which is a pretty good deal considering how many things I bought. I mean, I would say the biggest reason that I bought things is because I was kind of on like a buying things rampage at the time. If you caught my video from the start of the year, I said that I'm on a low buy this year, and a lot of that is because towards the end of the year especially, I was just like looking for things to want, and a brand that I had fond memories of was closing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll fill up a cart, sounds like a good deal, and I'll buy it. I did not need to buy it. I shouldn't have bought it. As I said already, this palette was probably manufactured years ago, so it's probably going to expire out of my collection sooner than like a palette that was manufactured now will. You know what I mean? I think there's some products that you can kind of tell yourself like, oh, it hasn't been exposed to the air, like it hasn't been exposed to bacteria, but I feel like with eyeshadows, like a powder is a powder. I would imagine like a powder from 10 years ago that's been used and a powder from 10 years ago that hasn't been used is still like a powder from 10 years ago, you know? I don't think this is 10 years old, I'm just saying that as an example. So yeah, spending rampage. I'm not proud of it, and that's something I'm trying to correct because although I'm like having fun playing with this right now, I had already decided to not purchase this when it was new. And even though I'm enjoying this look so far, I have so many eyeshadow products in my collection that I'm excited about and I've barely gotten use out of. I also have other things that I've bought throughout the past couple months of my spending rampage that I haven't even tried yet. So I'm never going to get enough use out of it to justify spending money on it, even though it was on sale. So this lavender looked like it might be like a nice textured lavender, and I touched my finger into it and it was so wet rock. It was like the wet rockiest eyeshadow I've ever touched. Can you see here? No, you can't. It's not in focus. Okay, maybe even out of focus you could see that it looks like it's hard panned there. I don't know why this isn't focusing closer up, but I have really low hopes that this is going to make any sort of impact on my eye. Nope. Yeah, maybe this is a shade that's really showing its signs of age. I'm like trying to like get in there, but it's not really picking up much more on my finger. I mean, I will say, buying palettes like this, I am not expecting to like the shimmers anyway, which is another reason this was not a smart purchase for me. So it's not like I went into this and like the thing I was most excited about isn't working. But it's still like more of a dud than I was expecting. I thought I would get like a certain level of pigment and then just not like the sparkle, but it's really like barely giving me much on my eyes. I mean, maybe it's the level of like purple where like I can smear it on my eyes and go to work and no one will even realize I have purple eyeshadow on, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna use like a beautiful neutral that I have. Okay, I'll try the shimmer next to it. I thought that, so I don't know if you can tell, but this lavender beam is much more like high in the pan. So that's what made me think it might be like a fluffier shadow, a more textured shadow. Heavenly is like farther down in the pan, but hopefully that means it's a different formula. Okay, it does feel a little different, but it's still doing the wet rock thing. Yeah, I mean, it's giving like little pinpoints of sparkle, but like no pigment. Very interesting. I guess we're just trying a lot of stuff. This shade Beloved down here, this shade intrigues me in a way that it definitely wouldn't have intrigued me when it came out in like 2017, 2018, because it's like a minky taupe. I feel like that's a shade that more like mainstream neutral people are into. And I don't have a lot of in my collection, but I'm intrigued by. Oh, it's kind of like the Mocha Mousse, right? Like the Pantone color of the year. And this looks like a slightly satiny shade too. So I wonder, I mean, anything now is not getting like a totally fair shot because I'm just like layering, but I can see that that has more oomph to it. Not necessarily the color pairing I would go for, but we ran out of shimmery shades and I just want something to fill in this halo and add a little bit of interest to this look. Yeah, okay. Okay, this eye's better. Okay, let's take this moment to see what else I got in this box. I'm realizing, like, I had the idea in my head, like, oh, I'll do a video with the Lime Crime products. I feel like a lot of these are for the same areas of the face, and I won't be able to get that many on my face. But I can show you. Let's see what other eye products. Oh, the Venus liners. I opened one of these already, and I used it in the Nomad video, and I did a really bad liner application, which I partially blame on the fact that I was, like, doing it in my viewfinder, which is how I usually do my makeup on camera, and I feel like my makeup suffers for it. So I do have a light blue somewhere already unboxed. I have this blue called Oasis. I'm pretty sure most of these things were like $2 or $3. Yeah, these liners were $2.25 and then an extra 20% off. So they were like $1.50. I can see some separation in this one, which makes me want to say it's from age, but I mean, often you'll buy a product at Sephora that's like a liner like this and it'll be separated. That looks nice. All right, we'll try it out sometime. I wonder also, that light blue one seemed kind of streaky, but I wonder if that's just a symptom of it being so light colored. I don't know. Because it could also go the other way. If something's darker, it could be streaky. I don't know. I got this shade Marigold. This shade just intrigued me, and maybe... Am I willing to get hurt again? Am I willing to try this again? Maybe this will go with this look. I just feel like it's such an interesting shade of orange. Ooh, I do want to try that with this look. I got this Diamond Dust Iridescent Eye and Brow Topper. This was $3.75 before the 20% off, so it was probably in the high twos. And this, it's like a double-sided thing. Maybe it's a different applicator. So this side says eye, and it has like a little liner brush. Ooh, that's exciting. Ooh, I'm excited about this. I love a sparkly blue. And then this side says brow and has a little brow wand. I don't know what I'm going to do with a blue glitter brow gel, but I am intrigued. That's a cool little product. I like that. I got 3 of these electric slide eyeshadow and brush stick. Eyeshadow and brush stick. That's a weird phrase. These were $2.10 before the extra 20% off. Ooh, I got a red. I love a good red. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a shadow stick. Cool. Looks like ketchup. And then, okay, this side, it's just like a brush to blend it out. I'm down with that. I wonder if this gets like icky and then it's harder to wash because I'm not going to want to like wet this thing or like put this whole thing in a situation where it might get wet. But that seems like an interesting little innovation. Yeah, I don't think this comes out, but I feel like I would like this more if this could like pop out and then be washed. The other 2 shades are pretty similar. I got BFF and XOXO. They're both neutrals. I guess I was trying to think practically. This is the kind of thing that I would probably wear as a base and then go over it with a single shadow. Ooh, that's a pretty shade. Yeah, it feels a little like crayon-y when I blend it. Okay. I haven't been wearing makeup as much because I've been like in my new room, but still have like most of my makeup in here. And it just feels like kind of an ordeal to like get myself into this room to like do my makeup, especially in the morning before work. But I'm probably going to be moving all my stuff in the next day or two. And I definitely, ooh, this is a shimmery one. Cool. I definitely need to play with these before work. Oh, cool. Okay. I have like low expectations for shadow sticks because I feel like I've never tried one that I really liked, but other people like them and it just always feels like a cool makeup product. Like Lauren Mae Beauty especially makes like taupey shadow sticks seem so cool and I want to feel what she's feeling. I'll have what she's having. So hopefully those work out for me. I also have a bunch of lip products, but let me finish my eyes before we go through all the lip products. I don't want to make this too much of like a boring show and tell. Yeah, I want to try this Marigold. And I probably should do it not on camera, but then you won't be able to see it. I think I'm just overconfident. I'm like, yeah, what? The thing that went wrong last time, doing it again won't go wrong this time. Totally fine. What can I say? I'm an optimist. Okay, already not the angle I was going for. Okay. I like the color. Ooh, I like the color a lot. And that's a weird spot, but if I could get it in the same weird spot here, then it would seem intentional. That's close enough, right? It's funny how, like, it doesn't really pop that much on top of this terracotta, but that's also probably in my best interest, too. Okay, I'm stopping. That's it. That's all it gets. Something weird happened there. Okay, we're fine. Everything's fine. it's fine. I need to put on my base, but I also want to talk more about Lime Crime. And when I talk about the products, I'm too busy talking about the products. So maybe I'll just share some thoughts on Lime Crime as I put on my base. I've always been kind of into makeup, but I started getting really into makeup probably around 2011, 2012. And their Velveteen liquid lipsticks were very popular then. And I had a bunch of them and I always wanted more. I mostly had the bright colors because I do remember my thought process around that time feeling like, why would I pay money for my lips to look like they don't have any product on them? You know, like I wasn't gonna run out and purchase a neutral, but I had like bright oranges and bright reds and bright pinks and dark colors and brown. When I started to get even more into makeup, probably like right around the time I was done with college and I had more disposable income. That's also when I learned about like cruelty-free and vegan makeup and started like paying attention to where to where I could get some. And at this time, it was hard to come by vegan eyeshadow palettes, especially bright colored vegan eyeshadow palettes. I feel like back then I would find sometimes like accidentally vegan eyeshadows or like products that you could tell like just the colors that they chose for that palette all happened to be vegan, but anything that was, yeah, more daring, more bold, had any sort of warmth in it, because a lot of the times, like, red comes from crushed up beetles, and, like, purples will have red in them, sometimes blues will have red in them to kind of, like, make them lean purple. So if you're looking for an entire palette, it was hard to find an entire palette that was vegan. So Lime Crime was exciting to me because that's like exactly what they did. Everything they made was cruelty-free and vegan, and they were all about bright, bold eyeshadows. I also want to say, I don't even know how much it's like worth it to get into this, but you know, I know now that for a long time, Lime Crime was shrouded in controversy. They were owned by someone who did like really shitty things. And I think sometimes when you personally like know about drama going on in a brand, it feels like inconceivable that people still purchase from them. But like a lot of people don't know. Like it really depends on like the bubble you're in YouTube, whether or not the people you watch or like, you know, watched at the time are talking about it, and like they weren't talking about it. A lot of them weren't even using Lime Crime because they weren't doing like the bold eyeshadow looks that I was trying to do. And I wasn't on Reddit, but I guess, you know, maybe my story is unique that like I came to them for like a very specific purpose, like bright colored vegan eyeshadow. If I had a ton of options at Sephora, I probably wouldn't have been ordering Lime Crime, but like that was special to me and that was exactly what I wanted, you know? I'm gonna use Merit Bespoke. So although I definitely moved away from Lime Crime as I like became aware of how shitty they were, and also they had the whole like there was like a big like credit card leak that they mishandled. I can't even remember the details, but they were really making a name for themselves in the worst way. And also the thing that made them so special, the like bold, colorful makeup, was now becoming more accessible. I think a lot of people that liked them for bold makeup had more options than ever. And also Lime Crime like stopped innovating. Like I remember watching Jay Kissa, and she had this whole like propaganda video where she went and like met with the new owners of Lime Crime. I think Doe Deer was totally out. Or maybe she was like still on the board or something, but in a smaller role. And it was like so clear that like the video was just like an attempt at goodwill, and the whole thing just felt so weird. But it is a funny thing with like brands that get themselves into heat. I feel like if Lime Crime kept innovating and kept trying to find like where the market was lacking, or at least making things with like cool artwork, things that people wanted to like display in their vanities, I think they could have had a comeback, but they didn't do that. I know there was like a couple eyeshadow palettes released in the past like 5-6 years. They had like a grayscale one. They had one with like teals, but I feel like by that point anyway, the whole Venus line was getting stale, and they never really ventured out. I could also imagine it being like a bit of a catch-22 for a brand that like, for them to come out of irrelevancy, they need to like go viral, like they need to get people back to them, but they probably were already struggling with money and like investing money into products. So they must have not wanted to do the investment of innovating, of hiring new designers, hiring like a new creative team. I don't know. Like when I think of it like this, it's almost surprising that they didn't stop making makeup longer ago. Unless they did quietly, unless like they've had the shelves stocked with this stuff and they haven't reordered in a long ass time and they were just like, let's make an Instagram post about it. And now we're all like, oh, lime crime. Because I feel like for a brand to survive, let me do my lower lash line while we talk. I feel like for a brand to survive, they need one of two things. I mean, maybe three things if we say like goodwill or whatever. But I feel like for them to really thrive, they either need to keep coming out with new products that returning customers are going to come and keep buying new products, or they need to have staple products that people are going to continue going back and purchasing. Like there's brands like Benefit that I feel like people sometimes like toss out that name as like, oh, like maybe Benefit will like go out of business next. And like Benefit, I'm sure they're doing great because they have brow products and they have like loyal customers who are going to be giving them hundreds of dollars a year, even if they're not coming out with anything new. But then on the other hand, there's brands like Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath that like people are criticizing them for coming out with so many eyeshadow palettes now. But I feel like now that the newness has worn off, they need to keep coming out with something to get people to come back and give them more money. And they really don't have staple products that people are continually using up and then needing to replace. So it's like, it makes perfect sense with a brand like Lime Crime that they were doing neither for years. They weren't in stores for people to just like happen upon and discover for the first time. They weren't doing influencer marketing to try to get new customers that way. Like it feels like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they were doing something that I'm missing, but it feels like they were doing nothing for a long time. And that makes me wonder if they essentially like quietly shut down a long time ago, you know? It does sound like their hair products are doing better. And I guess that makes sense because people that like, you know, people that do the, not disposable, dispensable, the hair colors that are supposed to wash out in like 8 to 12 washes, I can't think of the name. Those people will keep coming back and buying more hair products. So I wonder if it was just like they, you know, they closed down their creative team, they closed down their marketing team, and they were just like, well, we have the warehouse for the hair products, might as well have some shelves stocked with makeup products too, even though like they weren't actively doing anything with them, you know? Yeah, I'm gonna venture out and say that's my theory. I bet they were gone a long time ago. I think this shade was a little bit fallouty. Yeah, I feel like it gathered here, because usually with my concealer, I don't see that line right there. Tarte, they're another brand. I've been using Shape Tape for years. So even, I mean, and Tarte does come out with new things. They do like follow the trends and whatever. But even if they didn't, they would still get $60 a year from me. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there regularly giving Tarte their money because like it's a staple product. I need my concealer. Okay, I have a lot of lip products that I also bought. They did like a free gift with purchase, which is funny because everything was so cheap. But if you spent over a certain amount, you were able to choose a shade of this for free. Yeah, I don't know. I chose this bright orange shade. Why? I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't have an orange. And I guess I know I could like dull it down by using like a darker lip liner, kind of like neutralize it a little bit. I'm gonna wipe this off, but it's very minty. I don't think it's doing anything, but like the mint always scares me because I can't stand any plumping. But that's cool. I like the bold packaging. Feels very like 2016 me. I also got one of these Plushies Soft Matte Liquid Lipstick. This is the shade Milk Tea, and I remember wanting this. I feel like I might have had one of these at some point, but I don't think it was this shade, because I remember wanting this. Ooh. Plushies. Ooh, that looks so nice. I'm wondering, like, I'm trying to think it through. I'm like, I don't think this is... Oh, it smells kind of chemically. I don't think this is gonna dry matte, and that makes me excited. I don't think I'm gonna wear it today. Oh, now it's smelling a little sweeter. Maybe just had to ruminate a little bit. But I am excited for this, like, grayish nude. It's funny, too, because, like, this Soft Touch line, this is the orange I just put on, it didn't come out that long ago. And I, you know, maybe it is a long time ago, like in the makeup world, but I remember it coming out not too long ago, and I remember thinking how odd of a choice it was that all of the shades in the line were like neons. It's just a way that, like, I feel like Lime Crime stopped innovating, because at the time when I was purchasing from them in like the mid 2010s or the early 2010s, that's what the makeup community was missing. But when it stopped being what they were missing, there was new things that were missing. And they could have been the brand to fill in those gaps just like they used to, but they stopped. Like, they could have come out with all types of like weird neutrals, like weird neutral blushes. I feel like that's what everybody wants right now, and not a lot of brands are doing it. And like, that could have been Lime Crime. Yeah, so I also got 4 Velveteens. These were $6 before the 20% off, so $4.80 with the 20% off. A couple of them were sold out, or I would have definitely gotten red velvet, but I got cashmere, which I remember always wanting, and that might be the one that I wear. I got Salem, which I used to have. This was like my favorite brown. I never found another brown lip product I liked as much as I used to like Salem. So hopefully, even though time has passed and I'm not really a matte liquid lipstick wearer anymore, hopefully Salem can still be that for me. I got Teddy Bear, which I also remember wanting, and I got Scandal, which I didn't order. But I don't have anything like that in my collection, so okay, cool. Thank you, Lime Crime. Oh, I also got this rainbow hair tinsel. There will be a day for this, but today's not the day. But one day when I have my life together, I'll have rainbow hair tinsel in. I'm scared about cashmere being really light, so I am going to line my lips, and also, great, now they're orange. Okay, I think my lips are still a little bit more orangey than they would normally be with this lip liner. This is the Natasha Denona I Need a Rose in the shade Kala. Here's me living my Tumblr fantasy. Okay, that's a nice shade. Yeah, it's not that light. It's funny to think that if I had it back then, I probably would have thought of this as a dark shade, because there's so many shades that I liked in that era, in that mid 2010s era. Then like my collection grew so big, and then I stopped using all these things. They felt old. I did declutters. There's old videos on my channel decluttering that stuff. But all of the shades that I thought were so dark back then became like the new depth of neutral that I liked to wear. So just remembering that and thinking about how this would have been dark for me then. It is a little bit of a funny color though, but I guess that's the point. I dropped my Divina Soleils a couple weeks ago, and I was so upset that that of all shades to drop, it was like one of my favorite shades, but I kind of like smushed it back in, and then when I bought things with their Black Friday sale, I did end up buying another one, but I didn't open it up yet because I was still kind of like, maybe I'll see how much longer I can get this to work for, and then I dropped it again. So it's like, this is literally, it's like last hurrah, and I'm just using it because I moved some of my other single shadows into my new room, and this is sitting here, and I need an inner corner shade. But I will be reunited with a fresh pan of this as soon as I open it up. I really do like this finished look, especially with the pink inner corner. Cool. Remember we put that marigold in there? Cool. So what are my takeaways from this video? My takeaways are I didn't have to buy this makeup to go down memory lane. Lime Crime made me feel like I was getting a good deal on buying their old stock that's been sitting in their warehouse. And in reality, I didn't need any of it. Oh, and that milk tea, it looks like it did dry down. So I don't think it's going to be it's a little gummy, but it seems like a dry down type of lip product. But I'm excited for this blue liner. But yeah, I didn't need any of this. And I feel like in the future, unless a brand goes out of business that like makes one of my staple products that I'm going to be like needing to repurchase soon, I'm probably going to resume my policy of not buying makeup that I will soon not be able to buy anymore. Thoughts on Lime Crime? Agree with my theories? Let me know. If you enjoyed this, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm doing a lot of clapping. I'm like one of those toys. But yeah, that's everything for today. I can't remember what I said already and I didn't say, but thank you so much for being here. Bye.